Hey everyone, Tim Schofield here, and we got our hands on the new MacBook Pro, which features the first processor from Apple Silicon. This has the M1 processor inside, and I have to say, if this processor is as good as Apple makes it sound like, Intel and AMD should be getting a little worried. Now, Apple has already shown on their iPhones and iPads that they can make their hardware and software work fairly seamlessly, and now that they control the processor, they can pair it up with Mac OS, and again, I think it will be a fairly seamless experience. Anyways, we are going to unbox the new MacBook Pro, show you real quick what comes inside, and then of course boot it up, get some hands-on with this new laptop. Let's get started. Funny enough, after I just shot that intro, I got another package delivery, so the Mac Mini is here. Stay tuned for a video on that. Be sure to subscribe so you're notified. But they also dropped off the other color of the MacBook Pro, so we're going to be able to take a look at both the space gray and silver. Now, if there's anything you'd like to see in an upcoming video, be sure to drop a comment, let me know about these M1 chip laptops. Now on the box, you'll see the different colors have different colored backgrounds, but also I did get the 8GB model with the space gray, and the silver model has 16 gigs of RAM, so I can kind of compare those two in terms of RAM. Also notice on the box, the silver has more of silver writing, whereas a little bit darker on the space gray. So let's begin with the unboxing, see what we get inside. This would be the silver MacBook Pro. A little bit chilly, actually. I'm going to set that to the side for now. Let's see what else we get. Designed by Apple in California. These should just be some booklets. So you'll see MacBook Pro, your getting started welcome guide, some extra information, and there should have been stickers. Yes, there they are. So there are Apple stickers inside. Might be a different color depending on what model you get. I'll open up the other box and compare. Believe it or not, inside you do get a charging brick, and this is a 61 watt USB-C power adapter. It has an Apple logo etched into the side. It is USB Type-C. And in case you're wondering, the prongs do pop out, and also this piece does detach from the adapter. And finally, your USB-C to USB-C cable for charging or data transfer. This is actually 2 meters long, which is just over 6.5 feet. And that's everything that came in the box. You will get the exact same stuff in the space gray model besides the stickers. I was right. So the stickers are actually a different color. The ones on the right are silver, and these are the more space gray colored stickers on the left. All right, on to the MacBook Pro. Let's go ahead and take this plastic off the silver model. I also want to make a note that this silver model has a 2 terabyte SSD inside, whereas the space gray model that I got only has 512 gigs. So the silver model is definitely the highest end MacBook Pro you can get with the M1 chip right now. And don't worry, you can get the same config in the space gray. I just happened to choose it on the silver model. So here is a look, a side-by-side look at the two different colors. Pretty classic color choices from Apple. Let's take a close look. So on the left side is where the 2 USB-C slots are. It is Thunderbolt USB 4 connection. And then moving along, this is the 13.3-inch model, by the way. There's a look at the front with a slot for your finger to open it up. And on the right side is only a headphone jack. You would have liked to have seen more USB-C ports. Just a little bit of a bummer in my opinion. On the back, you will see there is some ventilation, and just a comparison of the bottom, there are these black grips in all 4 corners. Another quick difference in the colors that's a little bit harder to notice is that the Apple logo is a little bit darker tinted on the space gray, whereas the silver seems like a straight up mirror and a little bit more of a tint to the space gray logo. All right, let's open up the laptop with the one-handed test, passed with ease, so you can easily open it up. And there's that classic Apple sound. Let's hear that again on the space gray. So we are on the startup screen. I'm going to run through the setup process and only talk about anything that's noteworthy. It does prompt you for accessibility settings. I'd recommend going through all of them in case there's some that you'd like to turn on. Maybe you want to turn on some closed captions. Under cognitive, you can change it from light to dark mode or have it turned on auto, which I actually like. So I switched it over to auto. You can have speak selection, typing feedback, hover text. There's a lot of great accessibility options in here. You do have the option to transfer info from a Mac, Time Machine backup startup disk, or a Windows PC. We're gonna set up as fresh for now. Next to the touch bar up at the top is your power button, which also couples as a fingerprint scanner for Touch ID. So to set that up, just set your finger down, lift it on up, and continue through. Capture some of the edges of your fingerprint. And from my experience, this fingerprint scanner is very fast, accurate. It gives you an example of what the display looks like without True Tone display, which I prefer to have off. I wish I could just turn it off right now, but I have to actually go into system preferences once I skip through the setup process to turn it off. And we are all the way through the startup process on our home screen. This is macOS Big Sur with their very colorful, bubbly icons. Let's go into About This Mac. There is Big Sur. You'll notice it says Apple M1 and 16 gigabytes of RAM. Then if we go over to storage, there is 2 terabytes. So out of the box, 1.97 terabytes available out of the 2. In display settings, this has a 13.3-inch 2560 by 1600 Retina display. Now this is my first time actually seeing Big Sur. I haven't updated any of my Macs to it just yet, so I'm pretty excited to actually dive into this OS. Now let's go ahead and actually maybe run a benchmark or two. I'd also like to, let's go into Safari very quickly and maybe do a quick search for Cinebench, just so you can kind of see it running through. There's Cinebench, and I'd actually like to switch windows and open up the App Store. These are all the first time I'm opening these apps as a quick side note. So not only do I want to run a quick benchmark, I'll actually also render some 4K video footage in Final Cut Pro because that is what I use to edit my videos. So let me get that installed. So Final Cut Pro is installed. However, before we even open that, I'd like to run Cinebench, but just keep in mind that I did just boot this up for the first time and just signed in, and nothing is really fully transferred over or installed yet. All right, so let's run the benchmark. I will let you know the results. All right, as our test finishes up, let's take a look and see what the final score is. I do want to make a note that the fan actually did turn on, and it really wasn't that loud. You could barely hear it when I sat at a normal distance from the laptop. There we go, 7,770. Let's begin the single core test. And the single core benchmark just finished at 1505, and I did not hear the fan turn on with this test. And keep in mind, this is Apple's baseline processor for Apple Silicon. Now let's open up Final Cut Pro and actually get some 4K video files on the MacBook Pro and render out some video. And check it out, right when you open up Final Cut Pro for the first time, it is optimized for Apple Silicon. So it is already having improved performance and efficiency on Mac computers with Apple Silicon. So we've got our files transferred over. Let's just do a real quick test. Let's start a new project, call it test, import media. And once we allow it access, let's go into test and select all and hit import selected. And they are all ready to go. That was actually really quick importing those files. Now let's throw some of the video files into the timeline to kind of give you an idea of how quick or laggy that it actually will be. So far so good. And in comparison, to be honest, I've been using my 2016 MacBook Pro, my 15-inch MacBook Pro for a while now for video editing. So this does feel fast and snappy. Here's a little bit of scrubbing on some video. Seems to be very accurate and precise with it. All right, so with no edits made, here is about a 10-minute video of just 4K video footage. So let's export that and see how long it takes for us. As a side note, I'm not going to render this in ProRes. We're just going to do H.264. All right, and there it is, finished at about 9 minutes 30 seconds. For, like I mentioned, a 10-minute 4K video. No real major edits or anything going on, but yeah, so just about a 10-minute video, all ready to go in 9.5 minutes. That's actually very impressive and really cool to see actually from Apple. Now keep in mind, this is a fresh computer with not many apps installed, anything like that. So after all that testing, this is very promising. Now I will be using it more of a desktop. I'll connect it to a monitor, use it in that way. So a lot more testing coming soon. Again, drop a comment. Let me know if there's anything in particular you have questions about or anything you want me to cover in an upcoming video. Anyways, be sure to subscribe. A lot more M1 coverage with the Mac Mini, MacBook Pros coming very soon. Be sure to give this video a thumbs up, and as always, guys, thank you very much for watching.